lesson is an introduction to bonds, and I titled it The Ties That Bind. The reason why I titled it that is because families have ties that bind them to anything, to basically like life. You're bound by your word, you're bound by your actions. And if your actions don't match your word, then there's always a break in communication, break in the contract. And that's basically what we're going to be talking about, breaking of the contracts and how contracts in law are really tearing apart people because of taxes, because of credit issues, student loans, stuff like that. So we're going to get into what are bonds, because people really do not know what they are. So once people get a good background of what bonds are and how they are linked to contracts and how we can better understand them, we can move better in. Excuse me, like somebody else is trying to get on. This issue here. Excuse me a moment. Anyway, let me see if I can get him on here. He's a tech savvy person. He should be tech savvy anyway. Okay. What are bonds? How are you held bound to anything or anyone? Can people loosen unwanted bonds? Are bonds meant to be broken? Why would we bind ourselves? And what's the true purpose of bonds? Now let's go to a life example. You know how they talk in the street? My word is bond, yo. I have two people here. Yo, Rock, go to the store for me and pick me up some milk. Next guy goes back to him. Word is bond. I got you. So right there, Ra, he made a contract with his mouth. So that's just a basic scenario right there. So now the question must be asked, what did that scenario just create? Can anybody answer that one?
An obligation.
Hey. Okay. Who is being held bound to their word in this scenario?
The person that verbalized it and made an agreement. He made an agreement with his mouth.
Exactly. Let's skip down to, okay, why did this individual create this bond?
To do a favor.
Okay. Now, the last two was very important. What will the ultimate result be if he does not do this? Even though it's milk, but still.
It will cause chaos and disorder.
Yeah. So if he does carry it out, what would the result be in that action?
A harmony.
Yeah, true. Okay, let's go into the next subject here. How does this relate to law? How are bonds created in law? Who creates them and why? What do bonds protect in law? Where can bonds be most effective? Why do so many individuals face consequences when bonds are broken? And now, this next section is the deep section. since the elementary portion is over, we're going to get into the educational and entertainment purposes section. This next section is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you are in need of legal advice, please seek out a licensed professional and please be advised. Now, there's a question here. What is a bond? According to Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, a bond is a certificate, a written assurance, or evidence of a debt.
Transaction.
Words synonymous with bond, like you said, Lord, obligation, security, and a note. Now, when you look at that word note, you often think of promissory note.
Money.
Money, for sure. And in security, we have what? Social security number. When people retire, they want their social security check.
Obligation.
So, like, what's another form of a bond that we got, let's say, when we were born? Because bond is a certificate. So what is another certificate that we have on our person?
Birth certificate.
Mm-hmm. Yup.
Social security.
Yup. Yup. So all of those are basically obligations of people who are the owners of those particular pieces of quote unquote those certificates or written assurance.
Or
Now,
evidence.
Yeah, go ahead.
I said, or evidence.
Oh, evidence, yeah, it's evidence. Because if you were born yesterday, you're going to have evidence of your birth. So people are going to say, okay, Lord Kasim was born yesterday at such a time at DC Hospital. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to have a number associated with that. All right. Now we're going to go into a deeper look into securities. Why? Because that's a big, big topic. Social security. People are looking for security, and bonds bring securities to any relationship. It could be a business partnership. Now let's look at the deeper meaning behind securities. You have protection, assurance, indemnification. Now there's two forms of securities, shares and bond certificates, which are the same, which are basically looked at as the same, it's the same word, like shares, stock shares in a company. Some people say, well, hello?
I'm here.
Okay. Let me move this up a little bit. Hold up. Okay. Why did this thing? Sorry about that. Let me. All right. Now, a security is also associated with the word obligation, a pledge, and another word that people are scared of, mortgage,
More too.
a deposit, or a lien. See, now let's say like, okay, in order for a debtor to quote unquote get a house, the bank will quote unquote give a loan to these people that want this house, a family, a husband and a wife. So they create a bond, which is a contract or a certificate or a promise to pay, or like I say, a note. Case in point, I was helping a family who was in their defaulted on their mortgage, and the lender was telling them, "Oh, you signed a promissory note." They sent back they didn't send back the ink, the wet ink signature. They sent a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we want the wet ink signature, but of course, you know, these banksters, they say, "Oh yeah, you signed this promissory note, so you promise to pay a certain amount of money at a certain amount of time." Now, this family, they were on time for 20 years. They were behind, let's say, they were 2 months behind. No, I'm sorry, they were 1 month behind. And already, Bank of America wanted to kick them out. This was what, 3 years ago, 2016. I helped them stay in their house for almost 3 years. I don't even think that house got foreclosed on yet, but they went to another house. But yeah, they never could come after the house because all that paperwork I did. But you see, the thing about it is these people know that the majority of us do not understand contracts. And even if you're right, you can still lose because these people will even come and they will break their own pledge because they know that we do not know the backstory to contracts. Let's just look at it from the standpoint of the birth certificate again. Now, our mothers actually unknowingly made us slaves to that birth certificate and slaves to the system. And that is why when we go into these contracts and we get into some, let's say, financial hardships, our cars could be in jeopardy of getting repoed, house could get foreclosed on, and no matter what we do, these so-called quote-unquote creditors have the upper hand on us.
For right now.
But see, so many people are waking up. Let's go to the next one here. Now, bonds under Maritime Admiralty Law. Now, Maritime Admiralty Law is the law of the sea. Why is that? Because we were born in a sack of water. You see? We were born in water. 80% of our body is water. And let's look at how that pertains to money and bonds. Because cash, they call it currency. And they call it cash flow. Then they have another term they call liquid assets. Or we call this thing called liquidity in the commerce game. Subjects are thought of as ships. Why are we call ships? Because it is one of the main hubs in trade and commerce.
Well, to me, they got it from it. Vessels and a birth canal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because I was talking to Jay earlier today. He was talking about, this is not a country anymore. It's more of a trading post. You see, everything is for trade with the our people came over here and traded with us, and all they see us as commodities. And I was like, wow, that was so on point.
Well,
You still with us, Jay?
they call us what do they call you in the stock market? It's called they call you the markets.
Mm-hmm.
The markets say this. The market. So this is not
Yeah.
a country. It's a corporation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Act accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Let's check this last one here. Oh my goodness, what the heck? Oh, what's like that before? Yeah. Oh man. Oh, okay. Let's see. Why did they go smaller? Oh man. What's this? Why did that? What's this? Oh, why my page did that? Okay. Uh, all right. Let's start with the certificate of manifest. Now, when a ship uh, hits the dock, it sits in what they call its berth, berth. And what that is, it's a place for ships to, when they come to be anchored, or what they call moored. When they call a ship, it's mooring, it's an anchor.
Held down.
You know what I'm saying? They call a ship that's anchored a moor. Oh man, I said what?
That's right.
Um,
It's called mooring.
mm-hmm. Mooring, mooring. That's and in religion, they say Jesus is my anchor.
Exactly.
That is crazy. Now, a certificate of manifest is a document listing the cargo, passengers, crew, and they say it's created by the ship's broker, derived from the contents of the bill of lading. And it also states that it is evidence of the nationality of the goods. Case in point. Big, that's a big nugget right there for those that don't know anything about bonds and contracts. That last sentence is big. Evidence of the nationality of the goods. Now, I should have put another piece in here, but since it's just this piece is an introductory, so it's going to be an hour. It's supposed to be an hour long, so it's only introductory. So I'm gonna, when on part 2, it's going to get very, very deep. Talked about, okay, the bill of lading is a list of shipment of goods in the form of a receipt. Now, of course, the receipt would be the birth certificate. They call that a warehouse receipt. So that is basically saying that it is insurance. Now, the bill of lading has to be paid for from the person who the exporter. Now, the person who is importing the goods, he will get paid for. He has to get paid in order to give up that bill of lading. That's like saying, like, okay, in order for the mother to take the child, they have to actually sign that birth certificate, because without that signature, that hospital cannot get paid, because the signature is worth gold to them. That's how they monetize that birth certificate. And what ends up happening, unbeknownst to the mother, is that she is known as the informant, or what they call in the streets a snitch. So what the mother did unknowingly was give her son or daughters to the state of whichever state that child was delivered in. That's what they call it, a delivery room. And then the doctor also signs the birth certificate, and that's how he gets paid. See, so everybody's getting paid on, and they sell that on, like you said, they call us market, and they sell that on the stock market.
Yeah, just hold up for 1 second. Try to get out of the hospital without signing that birth certificate and see what happens.
Oh, hey, they're saying things like they are charging mothers with kidnapping. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Now, why that nationality is so important, because now mothers are trying to have home births, and some of the mothers' nationality is still a United States citizen. So I heard some people are snitching on these mothers, and they are being charged with not.
Well, all they have to do is record the name in a Bible or Quran or a Torah. That's all they have to do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You study the Amish.
Yes. Yep.
The Amish not playing with them.
No. You go to the Amish County, man. They have they stuff hooked, line, and synced up.
I seen it was on YouTube or whatever. I seen they built a foundation for a house, and then it was like 100 fucking Amish niggas, and they took the house and put it on the foundation without a tractor. I mean, without they lifted it up. All of them took the house and lifted it up and put it on the foundation. Yo, I was like, yo, these niggas are serious.
Wow.
Look it up, YouTube it. And I was like, oh, this is how we supposed to be moving. This is what Noble Drew Ali brought to us. Zen. You're supposed to be moving like this.
Kansas.
Over 100 years ago, that's what he brought.
Wow. Yup. That was the last slide. Let me see. Did you want to add anything else?
No. Matter of fact, I'm mad that I keep jumping in. I want you to go through it, but I'm
Yeah,
slowing
it's
you
all
down.
good. It's all good.
Yeah, no,
I
I want
like when people chime in.
yeah, I did, I want you to get through the material, man.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Let me see here.
I want to hear what I don't know because I know some of the stuff. I want to hear,
Right,
but
exactly.
there's others on the line. So
Yeah, let me see because I see somebody. Let me see. Let me, I guess they chose to. Oh, they muted themselves. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Somebody else look like, but it's saying this will need to connect their mic cam. Oh, like somebody trying to come in, but he did not. They did not connect their mic. Uh, Paul, you gotta come in and you gotta connect your mic. Okay. Now, we talked about the birth certificate. Now, the same way we got in this mess, that is the only way we're going to get out. Through these certificates, like the birth certificate, social security card, as well as another important thing, the driver's license. Now, those three, what we have to do is we have to gift those back to the Department of Treasury. Steve Mnuchin. Why? Because that's the de jure side of the government, or the Republic side, or the public side. Why? Because the United States owns us, or owns the piece of paper, or owns the Social Security card, the birth certificate. Because if you look at the Social Security card on the back of it, it doesn't say it belongs to us. It says it belongs to the SSA. And if they want it back, we got to give it back to them. So what we have to do is, because see, in law, they have us as dead entities or as infants. They still consider us infants or minors. Now, once we become of age, or let's say in certain states it's 18, is when you're considered an adult, meaning that you can defend yourself or fend for yourself or take care of your own responsibilities. Now, in law, though, if you pass the age of majority, which is 18, let's say you're 25 or let's say you're 30 and you haven't yet changed your status, you will still be looked at as an infant or a minor. And the Department of Treasury, or the quote unquote United States government, will be your daddy per se, until you tell them, look, I don't need your permission to do anything anymore. I have now become age of majority, or I am competent to handle my affairs. Because in law, if somebody gets arrested and has to stand trial, they always ask, is this person competent to stand trial? And 90% of the time, the answer is no, because their status is dead, or that person is black. Now, something I found very interesting, if you look at the Center for Disease Control's list of ethnicity, if you look at how they are listed, every last one of them are listed under the what they call the it's called the Directive 15. Now, the Directive 15 states that anything under that is in the jurisdiction of the United States jurisdiction. Now, let's say people call themselves. Let's say if you're from the Caribbean islands. Let's say people want to say Trinidad and Tobago, or they'll call themselves Jamaican, or they call themselves Chinese, right? All those terms, if you look under the CDC, Center for Disease Control, it's black. Now, of course, we already know what the status black means. It means you're dead in the eyes of the law. So all these terms are under the corporate jurisdiction of the British because they call it the British West Indies. And the American system or the United States. Huh?
Man, let me interject for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is what I do know for a fact. When Africans and Caribbean people come to America, and when they go to college, they're considered white on paper. They may say what they want, but that's how they get. They end up getting Marcus Garvey was considered white on paper when it comes to America. We're the only ones that can say people here in America that quote unquote call themselves black who can't get deported.
Yeah.
We're in a particular class. You have to reject it. But Africans, when they get here, they're white.
Yep.
But go ahead. That's my last time.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Because you see now, under that status, it's just like saying you are under when people come from across the seas. A lot of them keep, like you said, a lot of them keep their nationality. A lot of them don't.
They already have a nationality. Is my point.
That's right. A lot of them have a nationality.
They can't come over here and partake in any shit that's for Negroes. They can't. You remember the Egyptian dude? He been suing for like 30 years to try to become a black, to be considered black. He's like, in my country, I'm Nubian. I'm black. Over here, he can't be black. That's right. It's reserved for the ones that were denationalized. Pardon me. That's my back. Let me.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, that is crazy that we are the only ones that don't know, because over here, after we, for those that don't know, who's here for the first time, when the Moors lost that last stronghold in Granada, they went from Moors to Moriscos, Christianized Moors.
Christian.
Yep. So after that now, they lost all of that land because of the fact that they lost their nationality. They had to partake of the Christian conquistadors. So because of that.
Well, not all of them. Not all.
Yeah, not all. That's right.
It was called the Inquisition. That's what it wasn't the Hasidics. It was us.
Yeah, but what's so crazy is that a lot of those Moors who were fighting, they were actually fighting their cousins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were actually, that's a family feud.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. It was Jews, Hebrews versus Moors. I mean, excuse me, or they were all considered Moors, is what I'm trying to say. Even though what you would call the Israelites, and then you have the people that follow Muhammad.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
You had the.
Because I tell you, when I come to work, it's so much better when
they were conquered by Christians or the Catholics, basically.
But you know what it is? It's a true
because and that would cause a lot, even though that did not. Okay. Another student said he did not connect his mic, but he can hear us. Okay, good. Okay, but so yeah, after that, and we've been under that from 1491 all the way up until now. Because look at how, um, but there were some Moors who kept who were allowed to keep their status because some had to hide. Some hid within what you call masonry.
Yep.
So now you had secret Moors. Moors were all over these 50, what they call 50 states.
Well, they ran a lot of Moors into North Africa. They still down there. So what the Igbos? So they grow afros like us.
Mm-hmm.
They in Nigeria, but they grow afros like us. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if you can't grow an afro, you're not one of us.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. So, what should I do? I just last slide kind of messed up. But yeah,
But she sounds like she's Mari, right?
but yeah. So, having said that, what I'm going to what I want to actually get into is those three: the driver's license, the social security card, and the birth certificate. We have to gift those back and send that to the Department of Treasury. Let them know that we have taken back our security and we are competent enough to take care of our own affairs. But in order to do that, we have to learn these laws and these concepts. Because when you go to we have to actually go to these banks. And if you're doing business with these banks, you gotta actually change the relationship of these contracts and tell them, look, I have now found my let's say you could say like I found my way. I am no longer dead. I am alive, and I am competent to take care of my own account. Because every time you sign a contract with these banks, you give them power of attorney. We don't know that, but because we didn't read the contract, you know what I'm saying? And even if we read it, it's going to sound like it's French to us because we don't know the concepts of what they wrote in there. And they just write a whole bunch of stuff that we don't even know the concepts to. Now, every time we send, what we must know is how to send correspondence to the banks and who we're going to send it to. Now, if I take over my securities again, that means that I'm the boss, right? So because I'm the boss, I can only communicate with another boss. So you can only communicate with the boss of that bank, the CFO or the CEO. In contract, everything has to be done in writing. And it's how you write it. If you look at your birth certificate or what they call certificate of live birth, sometimes it's written in all caps, sometimes upper lower. Now, if it's written in all caps, that means that person is dead. Now, when we say words like person or individual, people may think like, again, we always think in literal terms, like, oh, he's a person or she's an individual. It never says that the person is a flesh and blood spirit from God. It just says, if you look at the word person in law, it'll say a company, a corporation, a partnership, a trust, an estate. Same thing for an individual. It'd be a company, a LLC, an S corp, incorporation. So once we know those terms, then we can play the game, so to speak. So So basically, once we give those things back to the Treasury, we become our own bank. And we will set up our own bonds. We will set up our own contracts for them to keep them bound. Because see, the thing is, they work for us. The United States work for us because we allowed them access here. Lo and behold, we acknowledge the United States as a nation.
I addressed how she treated me. They gave me a beautiful cake.
So that's another thing we lost.
And she also put in, I think, $50.
Because they don't teach that in school. So that's what we.
Said, no, we're not telling her thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, just tell her thank you. But yeah, she got defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
that's how it happens,
That's another thing. We have, and every piece of paper we send to them is a bond. Everything from now on has to be in legal paper when we send it to them. 8 by 14, because we are transferring wealth of ownership from the company to the flesh and blood. Because we know that those corporations cannot do business with flesh and blood, because corporations can only do business with corporations. That is why every time they send you something in the mail, it's always in your all caps name.
He never used to try to make friends with anybody. And
now let
he
me
looked like he was just his own.
let me
What do you call it?
go to the screen here, and I'm going to show you guys
He
something.
was just his own person, So I guess everybody can take a page and chapter from his book, But he didn't bother with people.
Now,
That's the main thing.
this here is a registered mail sticker. Look at this roll. It's about. You get this at the post office. They normally don't give those out. They only give those out if you have business with them. If you have business at all. If you have a business, let's say you have a company. If you have an estate matters, you tell them, ma'am, can I get a roll of these registered mail stickers? I have important estate business to attend to. Normally they'll give it to you. If you go on Facebook, a lot of people having trouble getting those rolls because they just going up in there and asking for it.
It's just all negative energy, and that's how we're doing stuff.
And not knowing how to get what is rightfully theirs. Now, another thing, I have something else here. It is a.
But I will tell you this much.
It is a certified mail receipt.
It really does.
This is domestic, but it can also be foreign, based on how you fill it out and who you mail it to and how you mail it. Now, when you send anything to the Treasury and they send it back to you, they send this green receipt back to you, it is known as a safekeeping receipt, or what they call a safekeeping certificate. Like I said, a bond is a certificate. It is evidence of a debt. So what you can do with that, you can use that as an investment. You can put a price tag on that receipt, because you gave them bonds. You gave them an indemnity bond. You gave them a surety bond. You gave them a payment bond. You gave them a performance bond, and you sent it off to the Treasury to let them know that you are taking back control of the securities that they were controlling the estate. Y'all have any question? Oh no, it's only you. You have a question?
good.
You good? All right. 'Cause yeah, I'm gonna send you some. Did you get that? Did you get some of the affidavits I sent you?
Yeah,
Were you able to?
I hadn't been able to get through them because of my particular schedule. You know what I'm
Right.
on.
Right.
It stopped in April, but I'm out here working 12 hours a day, bro.
Wow, I can dig it. I know you got that accident. How is that? Are you you got another car to drive?
Oh yeah, that's what I'll talk to you about that offline. But
Okay, cool,
yeah,
cool.
but yeah, no, I'm good right now. I got like 2 checks coming, so yeah.
Oh, good deal. All right, let me see if somebody else wants to chime in. Okay. So it's only two of us, I guess. Yes, everybody else is just listening. That's cool. So yeah, so once we get that role I just showed you, it's free. But just gotta let them know you're doing estate. Just tell them when you go next time, go to the post office. Just tell them I'm doing estate business. I need a roll of the registered mail receipts, and once you get a PO box. Once you get some funds up and get you a PO box, and that way you're going to transfer all your so-called debts in your straw name to your estate. You're going to have a suite address. Even though it's going to say PO box, you're just going to put suite, whatever the number is, and then everything is going to go to that address. You're going to you're going to go to the post office, or you can actually. Do I have? Hold up. Let me see. Do I have? Okay. It's a change of address form. So, okay. Change of address. Okay. It's UPS. Okay. Oh yeah, here it is. You want to get a go. You can download it. It is called a Form 3575 PDF form. And that's what you're going to do with all your bills. You're going to say the old address will actually be their PO box, and the new address will be your suite address. I will go over that portion on the next class. But yeah, the next class I'm going to really go heavy on the bonds. I'm going to go in depth on the safekeeping receipt. Why that's going to be so important. You're going to be able to create your own promissory notes, your own bill of exchange, and have your own set up your own private bank number, and your Treasury Direct account. So that's going to be a heavy. That's going to be real heavy for the next. I don't know when I'm going to do that. I'm going to. Today Wednesday, so I might try for probably I don't know. I'm gonna when I finish here tonight, I'm gonna go on Facebook and see when everybody's schedule is congruent. Oh, look, somebody else joined. Okay. Got some people trying to come on. That is good. yeah, those safekeeping receipts is going to be huge. And everything we send, we're going to be sending them gifts. So that way we can acquire property, acquire uh, motor vehicles, or what we call conveyances or cars, boats, land. The biggest thing this is going to be, we're going to get our land back. Once we get the land, that's the most important, because once we get the land, we can build whatever we want on that joint. 80% of Maryland has not been touched. 80% as of now. If you can believe that. Because let's say if you go up in an airplane tomorrow, you're going to look down, all you're going to see is a whole bunch of land. You're going to be like, God dang. See? And that's why we're going to need to stick together and get it in deep in our heads before they try to take. But they see, the thing is, they cannot touch it because they know it's our time. We just got to get our status in order and just do it. Look at all these distractions that's happening now. With all this, the Kobe, unfortunately, the Kobe Bryant thing, and then the backlash with that, with the Gail and Oprah and all that. I think that's a good time than any for us to actually make a move.
Everything is being revealed.
Mm-hmm.
Trump bringing it out of him.
Yeah, exactly. V, for sure. Yep. Oh, and like I was saying earlier about the how our mothers unknowingly gave us over to the state. Also, it made the children orphans or bastard children because
not when you're married.
Oh, for real? Not when you're married? Okay, because on the birth certificates, they always want the mother's maiden name.
Yeah, well, they
I mean, it sounds like to me, I know when I went to Africa,
they want to know where it comes from. Utah got all the records. I
really have to say, just traveling there and just between that and getting
breaking up.
Immunization is.
No, I said Utah got all the records, but
okay.
They when you're married, you're not a bastard.
Go down the road?
But when you go through the state or whatever, when you marry, because that's a contract. You have to remember a marriage.
It's a contract. That's true.
I don't know if she's still there.
That's the other thing. But go ahead.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I'll send her a note.
Think about it.
You said, wow. You said that's interesting. You said because.
So look, I'm gonna say one more thing. The state and the feds never got into the marriage game legally until the Mormons. The Mormons were white men trying to practice what the Moors were practicing, polygamy at one particular point in time, because of battles, not just because of you needed more women and this, that, and the third, maybe the king or whatever. But with all that being said, the Mormons, that was the first time legally they got into the marriage game. It was like, no, you cannot marry more than one woman.
I went to her wedding. One of my other colleagues.
And then now we got gay marriage. You see what I'm saying? So they started everything then, right around Noble Drew Ali time. I've seen the laws. I was like, oh, lynchpins. Right, you know what I'm saying?
That's a lot of money, though.
Hmm. That's interesting. Because you brought up something you talk about Utah has all the records. That's interesting because
No,
and
they have the all of they know who's who, and it's in Utah.
hmm.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
The Mormons are the keepers of the record.
But then if you go in.
Okay.
They just like the Masons, or they try to be like Moors. That you see what I'm saying? But they as a while we sleep, they the holder of the record right now.
Ah, good to know. Good to know.
Uh-huh.
Because what? Because let's say the people who aren't married, and because on my birth certificate, it has my mother's maiden name, and when I was okay, well, actually, actually no, my parents weren't married until '97. I mean, 2 years after I was
So
born.
that's the same thing that happened with me. My parents didn't get married till after me.
Right. So yeah. So that's probably why. Yep. Okay.
I have my mother's last name, my brother, but I mean, technically, I can go and change my last name to likes or whatever. But yeah, my brother and sister, they have the. But I was married. Pardon me, I wasn't married. They got married right after me or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying is contracts, and back in the days they used to do little stuff so they can get get state benefits and they can get funky.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting because they view the child as an orphan. They view if they have the mother's maiden name on there, they view the child as an orphan.
Well,
So say,
one more thing.
mhm,
You remember they do the whole little thing once you're born. They put the thing in the newspaper. They put an ad out in the newspaper,
And I was telling
and
them,
if you don't respond,
for what?
then
Go back there and say for what?
like
By yourself for
it's
what?
something with that birth certificate. And I forgot because my house burned down, so all my research is
You don't
gone. I'm
have to
doing it
rub
by
shade
memory.
on us.
oh wow,
They put an ad out in the newspaper, and I forgot what section it is and all of that shit. But they put an ad out in the newspaper,
No,
and if you don't claim it, they claim it like that.
oh the hospital.
Whoever knows what's happening, but
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah, man. On the side note,
taking a vacation.
on another side note, I ain't gonna make it too hot, but I didn't know that you could put insurance on people and they wouldn't know it.
Here.
So there's a way to put insurance. There was a case where there was a janitor that was putting insurance on high school students.
The janitor did that.
Yep.
Whoa. Now I've heard of. Let's say you have a job now. Employers put insurance policies out on employees. I didn't know that either. They had an insurance policy out there.
Well, I like to know what the hotel. I mean,
That's
have you been down
crazy.
there before, did you?
Yeah. But go
That's
ahead,
I
go
like
ahead.
to know what
No,
kind
go
of.
ahead, finish. I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
interrupting
yeah.
you.
No doubt, no doubt. That's crazy. Um,
I gotta
As I
lay
was
down in a
saying,
minute.
they view the child as an orphan when they ask for the mother's maiden name on those birth certificates. When you look at the word orphan, it's a child who has a child without a father. I was like, whoa. That made me think. I said, what?
I mean, I hope it's worth it.
That's crazy. So
Not just a bunch of.
it's just unreal how they use these contracts to bind us into things that we had no knowledge of when we was kids.
It just seems like
And you know
anytime
how they made us
something goes on,
liable was when we did that. They put
it's like
our
something
baby
boxes go
our
on.
footprints on those documents. That's saying that we consented,
You'd be surprised.
even though it made it.
Um,
People we thought it was a cute thing, but they did it for monetary gain, and they said, well, okay, this baby consented to this because there's her or his footprint on that document. Now, what people may not know is that they have a thing called the Baby Act, meaning that minors cannot contract,
I was worried about those people.
and we did not give written consent.
You are
From the time we were born to now, because those documents still hold weight, because every day, every minute, every second, they're selling that code. They're selling that bond. They're trading it all over the world. There's a website. You can go to. It's called. Let me see if I can screen share that. Okay. Let me go to do this. Let me go to.
I was hurt because that was the first time. Because I was aware of that. I do it on I give you it all the
Ask a
time.
question.
She never ever did that to me.
Oh.
Her mother never did that to her. Eating some macaroni and cheese. It's what? That's
This
expensive
website,
though. You can't get a flight off Southwest. I wouldn't buy anything with them because usually when you do, you can't get out of it. Oh, the credit card?
Oh.
That's kind of high though, I think. I'm pretty sure you get a ticket for one something round trip. Because New Orleans is right down the road. It's not like you think.
Let me share this screen.
Yeah, Nikki, in New Orleans.
Go to that website, gmeiutility.org, and you, let me see.
New Orleans is next to, what is it, Tennessee, Memphis, whatever those places. It's not that far. Where is
Go to just,
Yeah, but Texas is only 2.5 hours. I've been to Texas. I didn't say that much to go to Texas.
oh. Oh, yeah, you can do a search. Then put my,
Well, yeah.
okay, let's see.
Spending that kind of money. That's one thing about me traveling, girl. We went to Florida and came back, not even $100. Round trip. Because Nikia, I know you travel, but I used to travel like crazy. I get on there, American Express, and take my flight myself.
You find
A couple times down there.
record.
We stayed in a nice week.
Oh,
And we were was short for money, so I kind of know how to budget.
Okay, so what you're gonna have to do is, I don't have an
I think it was
account.
$99.
What you gotta do, you gotta get an account, and then once you get an account,
And then my stepfather had the nerve to invite his cousin over to stay. He had a nice apartment. My mother said she had to uninvite him.
is that? No.
He wanted to come sleep on the couch. We all split it in four. Me, him, and my mother, and my brother. And then I got the car. I don't know.
Because this website here, it will let you know if you put in your
But see, what I used to do,
social security number,
I had my Hilton. Well,
it will let you know who is using your
not by chance. I really
security
liked the hotel.
and trading.
I was talking to somebody else. I actually
Just the other day.
I have a backup a lot of points in a lot of places, but I don't even use it at corporate.
Yeah.
So when I would stay at the Hilton, like if we stay for the week, if it's like $1,500, I'll pay $750.
Yeah, sorry for the background noise, y'all.
And then, sorry, Daddy.
It's okay.
And then I'll use the other half of my points. You know.
Yeah.
But when I used to fly down to Miami all the time to see my uncle, that's what I used to do.
Anyway,
I
well, yeah,
everything happened.
that's another website. Y'all should take that down and log that in. So yeah,
I just Florida the other day.
let's see.
Oh, you got a hotel. It's really
We're knocking on the 2-hour mark.
expensive. And then
So what we're gonna do,
you pay more than
I'm gonna log off for now, and I want to thank you, Lord, for joining us tonight, and Jay for joining us, and my other guy, Herb, for joining us tonight, and anybody else who was joining us. Oh.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, no doubt. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So yeah, I'm going to be. Well, I'll talk to you offline. But yeah, we're gonna say good night for tonight, and we will pick up part 2. I want to say Friday evening, but I'm gonna let everybody know ahead of time and see where everybody's schedule is, so we can have a bigger showing. So I want to say peace to you, Lord, Kasim, Abe, and Paul. You all have a good night, and everybody else in the YouTube world and StreamYard, peace. And I'm gonna holler at you later, Lord.
Peace.
Peace.